All right, we're going to be taking a look at this soundbar here today. This is an Amazon Basics soundbar. It's an SB20, and one of my friends here brought this to me just recently. He asked me if I could take a look at it. He says that the remote is acting up and it has batteries, but the only way you can get it to do anything or to make the remote act like it's operating is to like push really hard in some of the areas here. You can see right there, like I'm pushing this. If I just push it, nothing happens. If I push it hard, then like I might be able to get a response. And it's like that with a lot of buttons, like power button here. I have to like squeeze really hard before it'll do anything. But not only is it not really doing anything, we can look at right here. I have this plugged in. We see that the standby LED is on. But if I push like power here, even if I get that LED to the flash there, it's still like not doing anything. And I'm not entirely sure like where the sensor is, but it doesn't matter like where you point at it, like it just will not do anything. So apparently it looks like there's something wrong with the remote here, and that's what he said. He said that, you know, you push the buttons up here and yeah, you can get it to operate. Like if I just push power there, the standby comes on and we can see that we've got whatever options are set there. We can put it back on the standby. So he says that the soundbar itself is working, it's just the remote's acting up. And it looks like this is not going to be difficult to open at all. First of all, it's already kind of like cracked right there. This remote feels super flimsy. Like, look at all that twist right there. It just flexes like crazy. So, whoops. So this should just like readily pop open. I'm not entirely sure what we're going to expect to see here. This might actually be like a pretty short video. Might just need like some solder joints or whatever like retouched. So let's pop this all open here. And we'll see. Might need like the infrared LED or whatever reworked there. Might have solder might have broken or something. And there are no screws, so this should just pop out. All right, there it goes. So we've got our little silicone button membrane there. Well, LED doesn't look like it's cracked off the board or anything. So there's more close up, and I'm not seeing anything right off the bat that looks problematic. Oh, I think I might see why this red LED doesn't always come on. Look at the solder job on that. It looks pretty crappy, but we'll take I'm gonna get like a close shot of that, the LED right there. I think that's the whole reason why the LED there doesn't flash, but that wouldn't explain why this one's not transmitting, or I don't know. I mean, it could be transmitting, and maybe this the bar itself is the one that's not receiving it. So this is the red LED that we can see flashing when we push a button in the front, and we can see that on this side of the LED, the solder has managed to kind of stick to that side of the LED, but on the opposite side, it just looks like it barely had some like right there, kind of on the left side of like this this LED right here, and the other side like really has nothing. So this is just like barely making contact there. So I think what's happening is when we push the button hard enough, we get it to flex enough where this is actually going to make some contact. So this we could just probably reflow. That's not that big of a deal. And the infrared LED, I don't see any problems with. Actually, it looks like it's bonded fairly well, and this solder looks like it's flowed okay. But this looks like it would have been done by hand. The rest of it would have probably been like reflow soldered. As far as the microcontroller, something interesting here is that on this side, if I could get this thing to focus properly, on this side, the solder looks like it's flowed pretty well. We can see that there's like tiny bits of like solder, what looks like solder balls. I'm not sure if those are bubbles or solder balls right there in the flux. But either way, it looks like this side flowed pretty okay. But look at this side. It does not look like it flowed completely there. So it looks like this may be part of the problem. And so I'll just try reflowing everything and see if it gets it working. It could be just as simple as that. Hopefully we don't actually have a problem with the actual soundbar itself. The battery contacts look okay. They don't look like they have any broken solder joints. Okay, I'm going to try to do this with the camera like quite literally like hovering over this board, so I barely have like any room to maneuver here, but I'm going to put some flux on these pins first. And we're going to do the other side too, just for good measure here, just to make sure we don't have like any problems. We know that this is soldered properly. And now I'm going to come in here, and with the very limited amount of space that I can see, I'm just going to run this along. See if there's enough solder on there to get it to flow on the thing. And that looks like it crept up okay, so that should be making full contact now, but I'll double check. Alright, so is this gonna work? I don't know. Let's find out. Okay, there, it's holding on. So let's go ahead and hit the power button and we'll see if this actually changes. Here's power button. And actually, wait, am I hitting? Yeah, there we go. Nothing's happening still. Yeah, it doesn't matter where I point this thing. Still not getting like anything happening, but now I don't have to squeeze down on the board so hard to get that LED to light. Okay, so the infrared LED is working. You can see it flashing there. The camera actually picks it up. That's not the red LED. That's actually the infrared one. You can tell that there's a difference. See here, I'm blocking it with a piece of paper so that the light from that red indicator doesn't flash on this side, and we can see that the infrared LED is flashing. So shoot, it wasn't as simple as we thought it was going to be. Okay, if we tilt this, we can see that there's a bit of like a window right there, and I'm pretty sure that's probably going to be the infrared receiver. Everything else is just like the speakers. So we got some ports and stuff right there. So let's take this apart and see if there's maybe something going on with that receiver there. I was kind of hoping it didn't get to this point. I was really hoping it'd just be this. Alright, so I removed all the screws that were in the back, and it seems like this here is going to come off the front. So it's just kind of pulling off there. Did I miss any screws? No. Okay. For some reason the bottom here doesn't seem to want to detach. Come on. Okay. I think I figured it out. I think there's a screw in here. If I run my finger along here, I feel a dimple. I thought that this was like printed on this back casing, but it's not. This is a label. So this will come off, and then there is a hidden screw right there. That's annoying. That's not a screw. Oh, really? Oh, there's one right there. There it goes. And you see the ports right there. This is the board we're interested in. There's the sensor. Well, nothing obvious that I can see right off the bat. All these solder joints actually do look pretty good, so I'm not suspecting that it's a problem with the sensor. However, this controller here, the soldering job on that is pretty abysmal. And I'm gonna get the macro so you can actually see up close what I mean with that, but it looks pretty bad, and I wouldn't doubt that this could potentially be part of the problem. This is probably the best image I'm gonna be able to get of this thing, but that's a close-up right there. All the contacts on that QFN package. You can see how they don't look the greatest, so I don't doubt that there's probably some of these that are not making very good contact. Oh, let's try to reflow it. So we're gonna go ahead and put some flux on it on all sides. Alright, so that looks 100% better. You can see how the solder now has gone like up the wall of the contacts on the side of the package, and I got it to do that pretty much all the way around. Okay, I've got the board reinstalled here. Let's see if it'll actually respond to anything now. Got the remote right there. I'm going to push the power button. We still have nothing. Sweet. Well, since we've really gotten nowhere with what we've done so far, let's go ahead and check voltages at the sensor, and we'll see if we're even getting anything out of the output. I believe the way it's set up here, it's this one appears to be ground for sure. I think this is the VCC voltage coming in, and this looks like it might be the output. So we're gonna check and see what kind of voltage we're getting at the pins here, and if we're even getting anything. I don't know, but we're gonna go old school here with this old Radio Shack multimeter. I used this ages ago, and I had to pull it back out because my Agilent is gone complete. The screen's gone completely to crap. You can't really even see it, so that's unusable at the moment. So we're gonna plug this in. I'm gonna plug in power into this board, And you can see we got the red LED on right there, so it indicates that it's powered up. So let's see what we are getting here. So I said this is probably ground. This is probably gonna be like 5 volts or something. Oh, 3.3. Okay, whatever. So, but I mean, that's okay. It looks like that's probably what it is. So between here and here. Okay, so it looks like when the LED flashes, this is probably going to drop down to ground. If I can do this with both hands here without killing anything, let's. I'm gonna take the controller. I'm gonna flash it here and see if this voltage changes at all. I mean, this would be better to do with the scope. We might do that, but let's see what happens when I push the button here. Okay, that seems to be changing, so it seems to be receiving something at least. I mean, I wouldn't expect to see it drop down to 0 just because it's gonna be like sort of averaging it. Let's check it with the scope, see what that looks like. Alright, I got the scope here hooked up. I soldered a ground lead, or a little lead there for the ground just to make it more convenient, and I've got the probe on that output pin. And we're going to see what this looks like on the scope. And as we can see on the scope there, we have the line sitting high, because it obviously was sitting high, so it's at 3.3. And now let's see what happens when we push the button on the remote, and we should see it like drop. So there it goes, and let's see if we can capture that. Let's do a single here, and let's go ahead and do that. Oh, whoops, it's single. Okay, so I've been struggling here to try to capture this thing because I'm setting here to both rising and low going pulses, but there's always this one pulse that's kind of just there. It's like random, and it keeps triggering it before I even had a chance to do anything. But I was finally able to capture it. And this is when I push the power button right there. So if I can do it quick enough, I might be able to capture the controller actually triggering it. So I'm gonna hit single and button. There you go. So yeah, we see that we have like a low going pulse, and then there's like basically a whatever data it's actually sending it. So that appears to be working just fine. So it looks like the receiver is not the problem either. Well, unfortunately, it looks like we're not going to be able to do anything about this one. I've traced this signal going all the way back to the other end of this resistor, and then that kind of jumps over here, goes up, this thing goes around, comes down this way, goes this way, through like a few of these vias, and then traces, and then it kind of goes back, snakes around, comes out here, goes through this trace, and you can kind of see right there where it's lighter. I scratched it off a little bit, the solder mask, and it goes straight into the microcontroller, second pin from the right on this side right there. And so there's a signal here. If I have the controller on this side and I hit the button, I can see it pulsing there, and it's going between 3.3 and ground. So the microcontroller is getting the signal. For some reason, it's just not processing it. And unfortunately, it's not like I have another controller that I could test with, but the data looks fine. And I even tried getting like a different remote and pointing it here just to see, you know, what it looks like on here. And I mean, it looks like a valid like data getting to that point there. So why the microcontroller is not processing it? No clue. And yeah, there's like really nothing else in the way. It's just like a direct path from there to there. So unfortunately, I guess that's going to be it for this one. I mean, not much we can do about it, because if it's that thing, I mean, yeah, there's really not anything we can do about that. And I mean, obviously the microcontroller is working if you're able to use all these other buttons and, volume and all that stuff. At one point, while I was still in the middle of working on the soundbar, I did try to find a datasheet for that SunPlus chip, that SB20 and I didn't find a datasheet, which is not really surprising because stuff like this is kind of hit and miss. Sometimes you might find one, you might not. So in this case, I didn't. However, I did find this PDF of a board design guide, and I just kind of looked through it just to see if there was anything that could give me a hint as to, what's maybe going on with that infrared sensor. But there's really like nothing here, or at least not much, nothing that we don't already know. Like if we go down a little bit in ways here, it kind of shows like a block diagram, and it just has a little block here that says like BFD and IR, which would be like the infrared receiver. And all this stuff is, yeah, I mean, it just goes straight to the chip. There's really like nothing in between. And if we go down to this section here where it says our reconfiguration pins, we scroll down a bit, we can see here that a lot of this stuff just like runs straight into the chip. So this would be like the pull up that was that we saw when we measured it. the output of the receiver was basically going straight to pulled up to like high, and then once they receive the signal, it gets pulled low. So, and that just, yeah, goes straight into the chip. There's really nothing else to look at. It's yeah, pretty much confirmed that it's something with the chip. And the funny part is, at this point, I've already returned the soundboard to my friend. I told him, there's really nothing I can do about it. And he said, and he hadn't told me this previously, that this is actually the second one that he's gotten. That the first one that he got from Amazon, he had returned, and they exchanged it for another one because it had the same issue. Like it stopped responding to the remote. So this time with this soundbar, he actually tried to see if he could get it swapped out too. And basically, they told him that they already swapped it out once. They're not going to swap it out again. So it appears that maybe this is a potentially a common issue with this particular chip, or something like in the design. I don't know, but it seems like it might be a little bit more of a common fault than anything, especially if this is the second one that does the exact same thing. So I don't know, maybe just crappy product, I guess. Yeah, unfortunately, no happy ending for this one. I mean, soundbar still works. And at least we got the LED working on the remote. All right, guys. Thank you guys for watching once again. I'll see you guys around the bench.